So, what was the single biggest, most worrying issue that swayed millions of voters into the ballot booths to vote Leave? The answer is so obvious it should be shouted from the rooftops: immigration! Although really we should be whispering it. You see, immigration is the elephant in the political room, like Lord Voldemort. He is he who must not be named. It is a paradox, the most talked about and yet the least talked about issue around. There are two unwritten rules when making a manifesto for a forthcoming election. One, do not talk ever of tax rises, and two, do not campaign on a relaxed attitude to immigration. This is why the Lib Dems are always on the periphery of the political landscape, until they find their own version of Blair or Cameron and able to doublespeak their political aims. There they'll stay. And Orwell's doublespeak is used a lot where immigration is concerned. For instance, if someone is critical of immigration, I often start off saying, I'm the first to say that immigration brings great benefits to society, but if someone is defending immigration, however, they often start by saying, I understand the concerns of some who worry about the effects of immigration on their communities. However, but why is doublespeak necessary when you raise immigration? It is simply fear. Fear of being labelled ignorant, intolerant, racist, bigoted, etc. I'll give you one example of this. Remember in 2002 when the then Home Secretary David Blunkett raised the question of increased immigration and the problems caused by the mass influx of children on many schools, where resources to accommodate them were stretched to breaking point. There was an outcry, mainly by your liberal types, and he had to quietly drop the issue. But why? It was a justified worry. The reason was a choice of words, or in fact one word, in this case, swamped. So for one expressive word, he was scared off addressing the issue in a sensible fashion. These are the perils faced when trying to raise concerns of the subject. If you can stifle discussion with just one misplaced word, knowing that immigration is the most talked about and yet the least talked about issue for both politicians and ordinary folk alike, who are worried. But it is a minefield. You either tiptoe around it or leave it well alone, which is just what pro-immigration supporters want you to do. They make blurred, indistinctive lines between reasoned discussion and possibly coming across as an Alf Garnett type bigot.
Old Enoch's right.
And let's be honest here, 50.4% of people who voted Leave in Birmingham are not bigots, just concerned folks who can't express a viewpoint without the worry of being labelled racist. So, what constitutes a racist person? Take me for instance. Am I racist? Nah. I ain't no racist, honest gov. But am I the best judge of my own character? I am a white working class male in my late 40s. I think of a few people of a different ethnic persuasion in an area, what we used to call the token minorities. A growing group in a neighbourhood, however, makes me feel a little uneasy, and a growing group moving into my neighbourhood makes me want to run to the hills. Well, the Licky Hills on the outskirts of Brum at least. If I'm comparing myself to, say, rabble-rouser and general kick-em-out merchant, the BNP's Nick Griffin, or perhaps the lover of newts, but not so much of a lover of the Jews, Ken Livingstone, then nah, I ain't no racist. But compared to such luminaries as the benevolent Archbishop Justin Welby, or even
Don't go to the pub tonight, please. Stay in and give us the money.
out of Syrian family Sir Bob, Mr. Tolerance himself, unless you're expressing contradictory viewpoints of his own, that is, then in such illustrious company, I do come across high on the racist spectrum. I also tend not to make outrageous statements publicly on race issues, but if an Asian driver cuts me up on the road, I can sometimes use language so coarse and extremist it could make your average Ku Klux Klan member blush underneath his pillowcase mask, of course. But when did mass immigration actually take hold? Well, one reason for this is a famous leaked policy document in 2009 shows that this was planned around the time of the 2001 general election, where mass immigration was encouraged for economic reasons and is famously quoted to rub the right's nose in diversity. This blatant bit of social engineering meant the new wave of immigrants were more likely to vote Labour and therefore make the Conservatives redundant as a political force. However, and this was also mentioned in the document as a warning and was disgracefully ignored, it also rubbed the working class's nose in diversity too, whether we liked it or not. So, who do you vote for if you're worried about immigration and the effects of it? Conservatives, Labour? As we have seen, pro-immigration, but let's not make this clear in a manifesto, for God's sake. Liberal Democrats? Pro-immigration. Always have, always will be. If you live outside England then, what about the SNP and Plaid Cymru? Pro-immigration. Well, what about the Green Party? Pro-immigration. Now, the Green stance does confuse me, as by far the biggest problem with the ecological state of the country, and that planet for the matter, is there's just too many humans on it. David Attenborough for one points this out. Why would you have a pro-immigration policy when more people in an ever-reducing space means a bigger carbon footprint and ever-limited resources to keep and feed them? You would have thought people serious about saving the planet would have not so much an open immigration policy, but more of an open extermination policy, although that policy may not be much of a vote winner. So, how did the Remain camp tackle the issue of immigration to the general public? Well, they used a well-worn tactic that has served the metropolitan elite for the last few decades. They either dismissed it offhand or ignored it completely. In fact, Labour brought out their Remain campaign leaflet a month before the referendum vote that made no reference to immigration at all. They expected that negative forecasts about the economy alone, i.e. Project Fear, would convince voters to vote Remain on polling day. How wrong were they? Well, thanks for listening. My next vlog will be about sovereignty, what it means to people and how it was hit home during the campaign. Till next time, bye.